Hey there, Whovians. Welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, we are back and we don't have new Doctor Who to talk about, but we do have something new for us to
I
talk
was gonna say,
about.
kind of, sort of new. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. You're completely right, Mike. We are going to be talking about the Celestial Toymaker, finally available after many, many years, 57 years actually. And God, that makes me old because it came out. The originals came out the year before I was born, so it
They
was
came
just
out the
like,
year after I was born.
see, see. So and Mike was just a wish in his parents' eyes still.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was not even on the table.
No pun intended. But it's pretty amazing that we finally got this because this is one of those lost episodes, and the only one that was surviving was episode 4. And so we've been able to watch previously. You were able to see it up on YouTube, and also Doctor Who, the lost episodes. They came out with a set years ago with just bits and pieces, and they also had the audios, and so you were able to hear the audio of it. But the audio watching this now didn't even do justice to it. Hell, I read the books from Target Novelizations. It didn't even do justice to this. So I'll be very curious to hear what you guys thought about this one. Be very curious to see what you guys at home did. And of course, thank you guys for everything at home. You guys gave us amazing numbers during the new series of Doctor Who. Our numbers were out of this world, and thank you. From the bottom of my heart, we do appreciate it. And not just up on audio, also up on video, up on the YouTube channel. So thanks. We do appreciate not just the live episodes that we just did about 2 weeks ago. This is now we're talking all about, what we did throughout the season. Yeah, it was 8 episodes, but still, it was great to talk about new Doctor Who. And now we got to wait till December. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're watching us or listening to us, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it and such. Let's check with our regulars, of course. We have Mr. Mike Gordon here.
Howdy.
How are you, my friend?
I am here. I'm not invisible. I'm not fading out or anything. I'm just
How do you
I'm
know
actually
that? How are you
I was going to
sure?
say, I
well,
was
I think
kind of
I think you
worried
would be
that
able to
Mike
tell
would
me,
be,
right? So
he would just be a floating baseball cap or
I
a
th
fez.
I think yeah, I think you guys would be able to tell me. So
But
so I
would
think
we
I think
tell you?
well, that's a whole other question.
Exactly. That's very true. And Ms. Mary Ogle was here, of course.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here on the Creepy Clown podcast.
The Creepy Clown podcast. It was interesting to watch. I really, it was a lot of fun to do, and we'll get into it in a few minutes. Remember, we are going to be spoiling this one if you haven't seen it.
In the
I
last
always feel weird
57
saying
years.
we're going to spoil this thing that's been out for, that came out 57 years ago, but
But you
a
couldn't
lot of
watch it
people
then.
haven't seen it
I
yet.
was going to say
So,
you couldn't. Yeah,
You
it's
could,
a, it's
yeah.
pretty new for a lot of people. So
I mean, it's
well,
new for
exactly,
me.
exactly. So it was kind of new for me because this is the first time me actually seeing it. But like I said earlier, I read the books and I've listened to some of the audio of it in the past. So I thought this was also very appropriate, since we had the giggle a couple months back,
Mhm.
that we should, dive into the toy maker and get to see his other appearance. But, this was not supposed to be his only appearance either. And so this is going to be a lot of fun to get into tonight. Of course, thank you as always. Let's hop into a little bit of Doctor Who news. Basically, from what I've heard, Doctor Who is going to be at San Diego Comic-Con. That's right, folks. If, we're recording this today is the 23rd, but if, you're actually listening to this when it comes out, you've already missed it, the Hall H big thing, because it's at San Diego. Our patrons will be able to hear it and be able to go, oh, awesome. Doctor Who's going to be there. but I'm sure it'll also be all over YouTube and everything like that. And I'm hoping we're going to hear some stuff about Doctor Who in, coming into, the new spin-off that we're getting, because that's starting to film in September. It'd be awesome, actually, if they brought out some of the cast and everything. It would be great to, because they've said, that we're going to get Martha, so we're going to get Freema and maybe some of Unit. And it might be even great to see rumor going around that Eve Miles is going to be part of this also as Gwen.
That would be cool.
So
I just hope that I haven't seen anything about, what's on the agenda or anything like that. So do we know if Nshudi's going to be there? Because I
um,
hope he is, because even if there's not a lot of Doctor Who news, for him to make a public appearance in front of a hot San Diego crowd, I just think that would do a lot to do, for the franchise. It would just be like, if he needs to be out front and center whenever anybody's talking about Doctor Who on an official capacity, I think. And
I almost guaranteed. I already know RTD is going to be there.
yeah,
So
and that's fine. I mean, he's a showrunner and everything, but like, you really need I think we all agreed that Gatwa was the best thing about this first season back and everything. And I think, like, just keep pushing him and just keep making sure that he stands out there and people associate him with the Doctor, because I think, that's the way to go. Because if you ride on his coattails, I think we'll be fine. Because I think he can more than handle this franchise and being
very
the
much so.
face of this franchise for, as you pointed out, a long time, hopefully.
I hope so too. I really hope he's going to be around for a long time, and he wants to be. So, seeing unforeseen circumstances that, I think we're going to have a very popular doctor, and I really think he is going to become the face of the franchise.
Yeah,
So,
so having him in front of a hot San Diego pumped crowd and getting people excited, and I mean, that would speak volumes, I think.
and being in Hall H is like no experience ever. William and I did that many years ago. We got to see Matt Smith and Karen and Moffat, and it was amazing. The crowd was, they had the crowd in their hand, but it was just such an enthusiastic crowd because that's what people are there to see.
Hmm.
And it's pretty awesome. And just San Diego is, no slight against Dragon Con or New York Comic Con or any of the other big shows. San Diego is, a media con. And it's where the big boys roll out stuff. Marvel's going to be back this year. You're going to get stuff for DC. You're going to get a lot of different things. You'll have Star Trek. You're going to have so much stuff. Doctor Who deserves to be in Hall H. And I'm going to be
Absolutely.
very happy to see that.
Yeah. And yeah, I think San Diego over the last few years has kind of lost its luster a little bit, but I think with this year in particular, as you said, Marvel and DC are going to be doing big things there this year. So I think Doctor Who needs to be right in that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point you brought up about San Diego is the one that gets the most media coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want, Doctor Who to be front and center, then we need to be in the places that the media are.
Sure. Exactly. No, and that's the best way to think about it. So hopefully by the time we talk to you again in 2 weeks, we'll have tons of stuff to talk to you about.
That would be nice.
So it would be very cool. So maybe we'll have the trailer for the Christmas special, or even something for season 2 or season 15. You never know.
Never know.
Hell, it'd be kind of cool if they introduced the new companion, even though we already know who it's going to be. So
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be really great to have. I can't remember her name now, but if she was there, and Millie too, I mean, because
of
I know
course,
Millie's going to
still
be
gonna
there
be
too.
part of it too.
Yeah, so just to like let people know, because even though the season their season has ended, I mean, a lot of people still can catch it. Like, I mean, so I think it's still valid and it's still something that you need to remind people like, hey, you can watch this right now. Like,
Hmm.
Please
Exactly.
do.
please do.
Streaming on
Exactly. Please
Disney,
do.
yeah, you can
Exactly.
watch it back at your hotel room. Go stream Disney, type thing.
So yeah, so it's because yeah, anything that would pump up the franchise, and like I said, I can't think of any better cheerleader to have at the head as the face than Shooty.
Agreed. Agreed completely with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So wait and see, folks. I wish we could do it, tell you more. And I just remembered another piece of Doctor Who news that we missed out on for our last episode and everything. Ready for this, folks? Something we didn't expect at all. Jodie is coming back to Doctor Who. That's right, folks.
That's right, she
That's
is.
right. She is.
She's not coming
Doctor
alone either,
13,
right?
Yeah.
Mandip too?
Yeah.
Manda too. Is
Yeah.
she? Both of them are going to be back for Big Finish.
That's fast.
Yes, I was
Yeah. Much faster
shocked
than
when I found
usual.
out. But that also shows how much of an affection she has for the character.
Hmm.
And, that she really loved playing the Doctor. And, so they're going to be doing all new original stories featuring, Yaz and the Doctor.
I hope she gets
So,
some really good stories.
and no Chibnall involved, which is even better.
The
All right,
best
who
news of
had 4
all.
minutes and 52 seconds into the show? So I think it's pretty awesome that we're getting that. We're also getting The Fugitive Doctor, another series too, her
Yeah,
own
that's
series.
cool.
So they announced, actually completely blew me away, because they were, the anniversary special where they did all the different doctors with different companions or villains out of time. That for Big Finish, they're doing an extra one that's going to feature Joe Martin's Doctor,
That's so
which is
cool.
pretty darn amazing. So I'm going to be very curious to see, what it comes up to and how it works out. And it's supposed to actually have the War Doctor as part of it too.
Hmm.
So
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, so it's pretty cool. So I'll be very curious to see, you know, what it comes out to, where we go with it, and how they're doing, her character too. So I'm very happy that they're bringing her in. And then after this story is over, I know they're doing a full season of her too. So, and I guess
Yeah.
we'll stick with Big Finish because we got some other Big Finish news also, that the Paternoster gang is going to be meeting the second Doctor.
Woohoo.
Yay.
So, we're already planning in the fall to start doing some of the new Paternoster gang's tales. And so we're going to be picking those up. And I can't, when I saw that, you had me at the second Doctor, just the plus having,
Yeah.
Vastra, Jenny, and Strax. It's just like, okay, you know, you got it. So I'll
Their
be very
stories have been
curious to see
so
that one too.
good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think the Paternoster Gang series was one of the better ones that I've ever heard
absolutely.
from Big Finish. So that the fact that we're going to get more, I hope everybody is involved, as writing wise and behind the scenes, because they did such a great job with. I think that series was called Heritage, right? That first
Yes.
series, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And it was just so good and entertaining, and yeah, more please. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So here, should I just sign my paycheck over to Big Finish for the next
Yes,
little
absolutely.
while?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think, but bravo on them for getting some amazing stuff going on over there
Yeah, boy, you
Mhm.
and
can't
everything.
fault Big Finish. They are going after all the best people.
No, exactly. So, I'm still waiting for Matt Smith and Capaldi to,
And they're
jump
losing
on
Chris for
board.
a while, right? I mean, Chris said he's going to be done for a little while, like the one he's doing now or whatever is going to be the last one
Yeah,
he's doing for a
Yeah. I
Eccleston
while.
mean, he
said
didn't
the
say he'd never come back, but he
No,
said he was
no,
no,
going to
he just said
step
he was going to be
away.
done for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. He didn't say when hell freezes over that he'll come back to it.
But
No,
he said
because
that before, so that doesn't mean much anyway.
we actually have, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing the River Song and Ninth Doctor story.
Yeah, that should be good.
So that is just going to be awesome.
That's going to be fun.
That I can't wait for. So it should be a ton of fun, folks. And Big Finishes are generally really good stories. There's a couple clunkers in there, but, you know, definitely, folks, check them out if you have not. And once again, we do not get paid from Big Finish. We're not
They
doing
are not a
this.
sponsor.
Although we're
Exactly.
open to it.
We are always open to sponsors. Just write us feedback at ourstationwho.com if you feel like sponsoring this wonderful podcast. We would be glad to take care of that. And, having these three wonderful people here to, talk about your brand, we would do that for you. Totally. So definitely check that out. So there's other Doctor Who news out there, but a lot of it's been garbage. So we are not going to touch on it or anything.
We don't actually call it news, Mike.
Yeah.
No, it isn't news. It's just garbage. It's just garbage.
It is not worth talking about.
As my uncle used to say when we were growing up, Ruth, what is this garbage you're feeding the children? So it's like, it's the same. It feels like the same thing. So it goes that way. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be back in a minute. And we're going to jump in with both feet to the Celestial Toymaker. Welcome back. Now we are talking about the Celestial Toymaker. We are going back to April 1966, and we are looking at one of the lost episodes. We are looking at the Celestial Toymaker featuring the first Doctor. We also had Steven and Dodo. Boy. So it was fun to watch and to actually be able to see it. I know when we saw the stills from what the animation was going to be, all of us were like, what the hell is this? Type thing. It was computer animation to me at some of its worst. But as I started watching it, I like what they did with the animation, if that makes any sense.
I like what they did with the toys. I think it worked really well with the toys. I'm not so sure it
Very
works
much
so well
so.
for the people.
Yeah,
no, the people looked awful. The people were just
the idea of doing this particular story in computer graphics makes sense because it's a gaming kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
So to have it have sort of a gaming type of like you see from like any video game cutscenes kind of thing, not playable scenes, sequences and stuff like that, animation like that makes a lot of sense. And they were able to do things and make it a lot much more surreal than what the original story called for, because as I understand it, the original story and some of the stills I saw, it's very bare bones. They didn't have much of a budget as usual, but even more so, I think, in this one. So they were actually able to do some things and make it even more of a more trippy, like a lot of the stuff they did with the toy maker himself, making him large and doing stuff with the Doctor being invisible and all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, I really found the animation just piss poor. I mean, I hate to really rag on people who do work for a living, but man, I was just like, this is like, I mean, I saw stuff better than this in like with video toasters in the 90s.
Yeah,
like this is
painful.
just like this was really, really difficult for me to get into and to take seriously because I kept the animation took me out of it so much. I'm and the story and everything else is a mess too, so that doesn't help. Did not find this a fun experience. I thought the idea to do it this way was not a bad one, but the execution was really bad, I thought.
I mean, I feel like I actually I enjoyed the first two episodes more than I thought I was going to. Like about halfway through, I'm like, this is actually kind of enjoying this. And then it was just the same thing for the next two episodes. It was so repetitive. There's no story really. And so it just, yeah, it really started breaking down.
I had no
there.
idea we were going to get a Dr. Light episode too.
Right.
Well, apparently, in reading like the behind the scenes stuff, this was the producers one of their ways of like getting rid of Hart. I mean, they were thinking of at the end when the Doctor reappears it being a completely different actor. This is way before they thought of regeneration or anything like that. So they were just kind of tired of Hartnell at his age, not and the producers didn't get along with him for various reasons. But it's really interesting. Like earlier this afternoon, as we're recording this, I was watching Turner Classic Movies, and they were showing an old movie, a British movie from 1943 called The Dark Tower, and it stars a very young William Hartnell, and this is like 43, so he's 20 years younger in this.
Oh,
And it's
exactly.
really wild seeing young, and he's credited as Bill Hartnell. And it's just really fun watching him here, watching him there, and he's so full of life and everything like that. And and unfortunately at this, in this, I mean, you're right. This is a Dr. Light episode. He's not in it a lot. It really
No,
depends on the companions, which I don't think are the best companions ever, and the toy maker himself, which unfortunately, because the animation is so bad, we don't get to see the wonderful Michael Goh actually get to play the toy maker.
it's interesting because, how we were talking about it. Hartnell was on vacation for episodes 2 and 3, and that wasn't even his hand. They had a stunt up, a
Yeah,
stunt man,
Stunt hand.
yeah, yeah,
basically, and they pre-recorded any audio that they used with the doctor. And so it was interesting with that. But you're right. The John Willies, who was the producer who was hired to do the story, was clashing big time with Hartnell, and they were not getting on. And he had brought up the idea, since Hartnell already was having health issues, and he was already having, some, other, clashes with his vision of what Doctor Who should be, and with, the creators. And, so they had talked about, possibly replacing Hartnell, and that was going to be the excuse. And Willie's, was pushing that, that when the doctor disappeared, that would be the last time you saw the first doctor, and he would come back as a completely new man. And it was, nixed from higher up, and pretty much, Willie's quit the production like right before it was supposed to go to production and everything.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was there was two producers because Innes was there too, and the scripts were, the original script that was turned in. This is nothing like like someone else came in to do rewrites. Donald Tosh did rewrites on the script that Brian Hales did, and it's just like, and then somebody else came in as a script editor, Jerry Davis, and he made rewrites, and then they got the budget cut big time because the guy before, who like was like crashing, like he just wanted to burn the production people because so he like spent all of the money that he could on making the Arc storyline. So they had
Right.
no money. That's why the toy makers dressed up like like Marco Polo, because they used the same outfit because they didn't have any different outfits. So it was really, really handicapped by a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
No, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of crazy that they went through this, and, had so much issues behind the scenes. And I didn't think the story was so bad. I enjoyed it. Yes, it was very repetitive, the different games that Stephen and Dodo had to go through. And, Dodo is not the smartest bulb on the thing. So,
And Steven's
you
She's
just
got
a
that Dylan hat
jerk.
though.
yeah, exactly. So,
I
but
mean,
it was
Steven's just
interesting.
running
And the
around going, I'm
clowns were
gonna hit him,
creepy
I'm
as
gonna hit
hell.
him.
Exactly. And, it would have been interesting to see, the female clown and Dodo in the car, because they were trying with, doing the horn honking. And wanted to see if there were, I don't even think there's pictures existing of it, of Steven trying to do that maze and being horizontal,
I
and,
don't think he was. I don't think he
Yeah, I
was.
doubt he was.
Yeah, I
right.
mean,
But
they
that
took a
was
lot of
pretty,
liberties visually with it. There was no car. There was no like, yeah, I think it was, I don't think it went to, like, it wasn't like a three-dimensional kind of thing. I think it was just a maze. Like, I don't, uh, yeah, they took a lot of liberties with the visual. Because I think, the animators were like, yeah, the story is kind of weak. There's a Doctor Light, so let's just beef this up
Have fun with it.
visually as much as we can. And I think they had a, pretty weak budget as well. I think if you gave this same team another 6 months, this probably would have been like much better looking. But as it was, I think it was just kind of unfortunate. And it's too bad because we just got reintroduced to the toy maker, as you said, with the David Tennant specials, but even before that, we had heard so much about him as a villain, and he's shown up in Big Finish, he's shown up in the comics, he's shown up in other stories, he's mentioned a couple times in TV continuity and all that. So, the toy maker has been one of those big figures that has that people are like, yes, we want to know more about him. We've heard he's a really imposing guy and a great villain, played by an amazing actor. Like I said, Michael Goh is always like he just does a great performance. And according to the things I was reading, he loved doing this so much so that his wife at the time, he was like, come on and do this with me and all that kind of stuff. He was having a blast. So it's unfortunate that we don't get to see his performance, but I think at the end of the day, you see all this stuff about the toy maker, you hear all this stuff about the toy maker, and then you finally see this first story with the toy maker, and you're like, ooh.
I mean, it's a really interesting
Yeah,
premise. I mean, the whole
it is
idea
a
of
great
it,
premise.
it's not, I don't think the idea of it is bad. I think the idea of them being kind of a god's playthings is actually pretty interesting, and
Yep,
something Star
exactly.
Trek did many times
Sure.
also.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had
absolutely.
But
Trelane right
after
about the
this,
same time, actually.
yeah, but I kept remembering the Star Trek episode. But
Yeah, it's very Q-like, right? Like it's Doctor
yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
version of
but
Q, really,
yeah, but
right?
Star Trek was even doing
That was
that back in the
Trelane from Star
'Well,
60s.
Trek.
true. Yeah. And
Yeah.
well, that's what you mentioned, Trelane. It was kind of like, I think
Yeah.
it's been established in Star Trek continuity that he was part of the continuum now or something. But
I think so.
yeah, sorry, that's off topic. But
But yeah, but anyway, and also like I said, I enjoyed the first half of it. I mean, it was kind of fun seeing them wandering around and playing the games. It just kind of, for me, it started to become filler after that because it was kind of the same thing going on. And also, Steven and Dodo, not that interesting.
I
No, they are not.
no,
Yeah.
He
they
is
they
kind
they,
of a
they
jerk,
cannot.
actually. He
Yeah,
he
they
really is. The way he was treating Dodo, and especially like I didn't think he was even going to help her when she sat in the chair and froze.
he's just
Like,
like, oh,
Yeah.
what?
at
Yeah, at
first I
first he's
thought,
just yelling at her about
yeah,
it. And I'm
Yeah, he's
like,
just like,
exactly.
get
okay,
up,
we'll
get
just
up, get up. It's like, I
Mhm.
can't.
look, you stupid
Exactly, you
jerk.
stupid ninny. So,
Yeah, because
and
she's
it's
just
funny
like,
because this
she's just
episode
like,
leads
I'm
right
just gonna sit
into,
down. I don't care.
yeah, this
Basic.
episode leads right into one of our favorites, the
Oh yeah. Oh,
fighters.
don't even. What a
Oh,
what a what
yes.
a what a horrible
Everybody
double
starts
bill.
singing.
What a
Exactly.
horrible double bill. This and then the gunfighters.
Yeah.
One thing that I really, really appreciated talking about the doctor and the toy maker, the scenes in the beginning, the first part, and even the last part with the two of them were pretty cool. I love Doctor, encountering a big, powerful force and having a sort of equal figure to go up against. And this is, if not more so, and trying to outwit him and all of that. I mean, that just is awesome. That's just great stuff. And what really took me by surprise is the doctor says like he already knows him. He's like, yeah, I've been
Exactly.
here
I was about to
before,
bring that up.
Mhm.
but I didn't stay because Toymaker, this is Toymaker's territory, and I'm out of here because I don't want to deal with him. And I was like, wow, he already knows him, and I'm like, that was pretty cool. We don't see that very often, where the doctor at
Mhm.
this early on, we don't see that he's already got history with things.
Mhm.
But it was also interesting because at the end of it, he says, "Oh, this is not the last time we'll see him.
Right.
You know, he
Right.
will be back. Type thing."
Yeah. Well, it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was actually supposed to come back during the Colin Baker era, played by the same actor,
Yep.
in 1985. But Doctor Who went on hiatus at that time, and with Colin Baker, and So I think it was called Nightmare Fair, was supposed to be the story. And it was basically, the toy maker returning, and it would have, they actually made that into a big finish audio. So you can actually hear it.
Yeah, but not with Michael Go.
No, but he was supposed to play him in the TV show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it would have been awesome if that would have been the case. But like you said,
Uh,
he's appeared in Big Finish and other ones, and also in the comics and other books. So, and then we got Neil Patrick Harris playing him. So,
yeah, and that's a great, I mean, I don't have any complaints about that.
No, I thought he was great as the toy maker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And a
I,
much better story.
yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot here that I mean, in watching this, maybe I'd have to go back and rewatch the one with Neil Patrick Harris, but I don't think he was able to pull a lot from this to incorporate. So that's kind of unfortunate, but maybe he did. Maybe it's just stuff that I'm looking at it again, I'd be like, oh, okay, that is something.
well, that's right. Because I was lucky enough to be able to watch it on the new Blu-ray, and they actually have the fourth episode, the original fourth episode, that you can watch it. And
Cool.
after we watched it all the way through, and we did it in the original black and white, that I watched actually right before we recorded tonight. I watched the live episode, the live action one, to see how it matched up. And I actually liked the animated version even more.
Better. Well, they
You know,
couldn't, I mean, the budget was so bare bones. It actually looks very different, the real live action episode.
mhm,
It's a very different feeling than from the animated one.
right. Even the hopscotch game, with Searle, it was just it was just like the tiles were just like this far off the ground in
Right.
the action one, and
Yeah.
where, it made it look like they were like on pillars or something that you would fall,
Right.
to your
Right.
death in the animated. And it was just, it was interesting. And, but it was nice to see the actors live to be able to just compare it.
Sure.
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's always preferable, but
Yeah, of course.
unfortunately, it's not the case for this one, and I think there's a few others that are still out there that, uh, yeah, we won't. This is the only other option.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
even know if the audios exist for some of the others.
For the Celestial Toymaker.
No, no,
No, no,
Oh,
some of
the
the
for
other
other,
missing
like
for
Marco
some of
episodes.
the
Polo and stuff like
for
that.
the
Yeah,
Savages.
yeah.
So I don't really know, but
So it'll be interesting to see. But was it great? No. But was it fun to sit around on a Saturday afternoon and while it was raining out and watch Doctor Who, and even its beautiful animated form? Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I know Mike's shaking his head, so
sorry,
Says no.
I can't completely agree with that. I mean, it was interesting, but as Mary said, it got kind of redundant and tiresome.
yeah.
That third episode is just, you know, I'm
That's one
just
of the
glad that
weakest
they're,
episodes. Yeah.
Oh, the
yeah.
ballroom dancing one? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I give a lot of credit to the animators and the people who are doing this is they took out the racial slurs. So that's, I mean, it kind of surprised me that there were racial slurs in the original broadcast of this. Not cool, Doctor Who, not cool, but at
Right.
least that's been. I didn't know, like, okay, so yeah, for those people who don't know, in the original episode in Hall of Dolls, the King of Heart, when he recites the rhyme "Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo," he actually goes through the whole line, which is, if anybody knows their history, is not really that cool and not acceptable anymore. Using the N word on and back at that time in 1966 in BBC, it was okay. But also I didn't know that the word celestial was a slur to describe Chinese people too. So I
Yeah.
didn't really know that. And so the
It
fact
is?
that the
I didn't
toy
know that.
maker is
Yeah, it
dressed
is.
up in this sort of, um, sort of this double entendre, right? Whereas on the one hand, the toy maker is from outer space, but also he's dressed up in this Marco Polo gear, this sort of, Chinese sort of outfit. And it's just sort of like, that's a weird play. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but I did find that kind of weird. So kind of an interesting note there. But yeah, I can't fault him for that because obviously you can use the word in different ways. But yeah, uh, just hate to see that the original one, and I think you can still like get the soundtrack or whatever, and it still has the original like bad line and all that kind of stuff. So
Lovely.
Yeah. It's definitely racist overtones with the
Oh,
word
very much so.
celestial and the way
Sounds
he's
like it.
dressed.
Well, yeah. Well, look how he's dressed. Like you
yeah,
Yeah.
said.
I can only imagine if we ever do get to see Marco Polo, that it will not be like very
That one
politically
may, I
correct.
hate to say it, but it may
It
it
may
may be
purposely
better
be
off
lost.
than if
Yes.
that one doesn't, yeah,
Yeah,
exist
there
anymore.
we might be like shaking our heads going, "Whoa." Because we've all that's the one outside of this one, that's the one that's the other first Doctor story I think we've heard so much about. Like, oh, Marco Polo is really one of the better ones, and we really want to see that one. That's on the top of almost everybody's list, as far as the first Doctor of ones to see, to find, and hopefully restore at some point. But yeah, I do wonder if we did actually find that and see that, we'd be like, ooh, this is awkward.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
sure there are at
there's
least
these awkward
awkward
things.
parts to it.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one? Okay. That said tons right there. That said tons. All right, folks. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, one being the worst, five being the best. Mary, I'm going to let you go first tonight.
I'm gonna be kind of generous here and give it a 3 because I did enjoy the first half of it. And the animation kind of worked for the toys and the clowns because
Hmm.
they were supposed to be these sort of surreal, not realistic characters.
I
And
mean,
so
they
it
were
wasn't
creepy.
quite until you got to the dancing dolls, they were terrible. But yeah, I was okay with that. Like the playing cards actually looked kind of cool.
Yes.
The people were awful. They were just really bad. And that did kind of take me out of the story sometimes, though I'm also think it may have just been the characters of Stephen and Dodo who were, yeah, not well written at all.
No.
But yeah, I don't think it really, I'd give it a 3.
Okay. Mr. Mike.
I'm giving it a 1.5. Uh,
Wow.
just,
Wow.
uh,
Wow. Ouch.
I mean, the Doctor's not in it much. I mean, if you like, yeah, you could watch the first one and the first episode and the second episode and pretty much get what you need to out of this. Um, the animation, like I said, I just couldn't. I couldn't. It just sometimes it gave me a headache. The so I didn't really. It didn't really work for me. I saw what they were going for, but I just like wish they'd been able to. I'm not looking for Disney animation, Disney or Pixar level animation here, but come on, people. Um, and but one thing that Mary just said that I wanted to note in that I thought was interesting is that in the beginning, the toy maker kind of hints that his crew, the people that his toys, are people who have visited him and have failed the game. And these are
Mhm.
actual people that are trapped in this sort of playroom of the toy makers, and it's really creepy. And therefore, it adds this really weird, dark level to whenever Steven and Dodo are going up against these people, that these are actually victims. But Steven is just saying, he says over and over again throughout the rest of it that they're just creations of the toy maker. Don't worry about them. Don't show them any sympathy. It's never really resolved whether or not that's true or not. I don't think that they don't want to, I
Actually,
don't think the producers want to deal with that.
no,
But
when the playing cards were saying, we'll get back to be back to life
yeah,
again. if we win.
Yeah, the playing cards actually bring it up more than once if they used
Yeah,
to
a
be
couple
real
times.
people.
Yeah, and Steven's just like they just did, it's a toy maker messing with us. They're just not they're not real beings. And
Right.
they're just things that, he made up. And I'm like, it's really creepy the fact that, they just really like destroy all these people that have these people that have visited and been tortured for decades or centuries. We don't know.
We don't know.
So I think that's a dark element that I think doesn't really pay off. But it is really, kind of a dark thing that kind of led me through the first couple of episodes. But then
Mhm.
quickly I was just like, no, let's just get this over with.
Gotcha. No, I agree with that a lot, what you said. And I think even in the giggle, the toy maker, said, if you lose the game with me, you become, one of my toys.
Yeah, and
So,
that's the whole
Mhm.
thing with the Doctor and Steven and Dodo. He's like, you guys will lose, and you'll be my toys to play
right.
with for eternity or whatever. And
Right.
that's the whole
Even
thing
in
that
the
he's going
fourth
up against.
episode, he had the chairs ready for them and everything. He was so convinced that they were going to lose.
But the story gives you no real sympathy for them,
No,
especially in the second half. They're just playthings that, especially that last one. He's just, you don't feel sorry for that guy at all.
No.
yes. Cyril he is a
Yeah.
true jerk. He is
Yeah,
He
almost
yeah,
is.
as evil as the toy maker in some ways. He was trying to
yeah.
cheat and, do anything to make sure he won. But he got so excited that he slipped on his own powder or whatever that was he poured on.
But at least with the
Mm.
cards, you kind of felt like, they're doing this because they want to be free.
Yes.
And their lives depend on it, and this is their hope, like one chance that they from like as they've been tortured, and this is their one chance at getting their lives back, and then it's just they are just fed to these chairs, and it's like it's pretty grim.
Well, they
Very
didn't.
so.
Well, they didn't mind sacrificing the fool
No,
at
they did not.
all.
No,
No,
they
they
did not.
didn't. And
He
he
was
was
no
not
fool,
much of
though,
a
was he?
fool
No.
because he ran away
Exactly.
Right.
and everything. He said, "No, I'm not going to sit in one of those chairs. You go do it." And it was interesting that they did that. And I also there was, it was on Stephen and Dodo. They lied right to the card's face. Oh, there's no more dolls, even though there were three more dolls.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steven did. Dodo was like, "Why did you lie?"
Well,
Mhm.
exactly. So it was interesting for sure. I'm going to give this one, I was going to say a 3.5, but I think that's being too generous. And I'm going to go back to, I'm going to be where Mary is. I'm going to give a 3 because I enjoyed it. I liked it. I had fun with it. Yes, it was repetitive, but it was first Doctor Who. Those stories weren't all that great in the first place. There's some, couple that are really good, but overall, a lot of them are really weak. And I went in with very low expectations, especially had seen pictures of this animation, and, and I liked it.
I mean, it feels like they're still finding their way here.
Well,
It
exactly.
feels like even though I mean, this is several episodes in, we're already on different companions,
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's their third
I
season.
think this is
but
his
yeah,
third
but it
season.
does still feel like they're still trying to figure out what it is they want to be.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. Are they a children's show or are they a adult, more adult style show?
Well, I think it's
And
pretty clear that they're still a kid's show,
oh yeah,
primarily.
but they were still trying to find their path. And you could also feel, you know, it needed more Hartnell in the story, and that was sort of
Yes, yes, yes,
Yes, yes,
absolutely. It did. It did.
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like Hartnell, and I know he had his issues, especially around the last season that, and this is, close to that. But I do. That's why I watch these because I really like watching his performance as the Doctor. I think he is really good, and like I said, the moments where in the beginning where he first confronts the Toymaker, and even at the end where he kind of bests him, those are my favorite two parts of this. So that's why I would say, watch the first episode and last episode, and you're good.
Exactly. Well, pretty much.
And
You're really
I don't
right
know.
there.
In addition to the TARDISes, I don't know if we need like a Chibnall scale, but I would rather watch Flux again than watch this again.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
wow.
Wow. Well, on that note, feedback at earthstationwho.com
You
is the best way to
shocked
tell
us.
Leave, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Leave your thoughts on this episode underneath. Or if you're on Facebook, please, we'd love to have a discussion going about what you guys thought about it. Did you like the animation? Did you not? Did you watch in black and white, or did you watch it in color? That's, we're curious about. So definitely, we'd love to hear from you guys and, have you guys involved with this. This is the cool stuff about it. We'll be back again, of course, in 2 weeks. And we're going back to the Matt Smith era in 2 weeks. We're looking at Vampires of Venice. And
early Matt Smith
should be a ton of fun, and it doesn't bite all that badly. So it's pretty cool. So it should be fun. Of course, folks, please, if you've made it this far, like and subscribe. That's the best way to do it. And, it's all we could do. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. And ring that bell while you're at it. Of course, you'll be reminded when we have new content and new material up there. All right, let's thank our regulars for being here. Mr. Mike, thank you as always.
And as always, it's been my pleasure.
You've got Monsterama coming up right around the corner.
I do. Monsterama is coming up. It is April. It is August 9th and through the 11th. And I will be there all 3 days. I am the track director for the literature and comics and art track. So we've got some great programming there. If anybody's interested in going to Monsterama and is interested in being on a panel, I'd be glad to share my schedule. I'm still looking for a couple of panelists for a couple of the topics that we've got. So feel free to reach out to me, but I hope to see everybody there. It's a fun show. It's in the Atlanta area, Atlanta Hilton Northeast, I think that's what it's called. But it's right there on Norcross, and it's a fun show. It's one I'm glad to be part of, and I hope to see everybody there.
Awesome. And Ms. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Thank you. It's always happy to be here.
How can people find your artwork?
They can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Awesome. Thank you always, folks at home. We appreciate you. If you're at San Diego Comic-Con and watching us, thank you. We appreciate it. I hope you guys
kind of face look on your face like, why?
I almost said that.
Because you couldn't get into Hall H, so you turned to us.
Yeah.
Exactly. What, they might be listening to us while they're waiting in line for a hall.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true.
That is true.
And it's usually a very long way to get into Hall H.
Yeah.
So
You got 5 hours to kill.
5 hours. I think I waited 7 hours, and 7 hours with a 10-year-old is not a ton of fun.
I mean, people camp out overnight.
I remember people were camping out. I remember the same year it was still the Twilight movies were still coming out, and they camped out overnight to get into Hall H for that.
Well, that was not worth it.
No, definitely not. But I bet those people feel really good about that now. So,
well, for some people, it might have been. So, hey,
same people who are like really happy about.
I'm not fandom shaming.
No, I wasn't fandom shaming. I was just about to say it's the same people who did the Celestial Toymaker. So,
I doubt that. But
no.
Yeah.
On behalf of all three of us, thank you so much. We'll see you here next time on Earth Station Who. Have fun, folks, and we'll have a great summer. Peace, and we are done.
Bye.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.